Episode 9 is set to end the Skywalker saga and the sequel trilogy itself by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, one thing that I am personally looking forward to seeing a lot, of course, has all to do with the Jedi and Sith lore that will be incorporated into this movie as a way of moving the characters of Rey and Kylo Ren forward in this story, in order to really evolve the characters and make this film feel very unique and original by JJ. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very exciting, involving Rey, the Lost City, and even Anakin Skywalker. Specifically, a description of Rey inside of the Lost City within the Jedi location, where it's described that Rey begins to hear a voice that is said to be of Anakin Skywalker. It said that Rey is inside of a cave full of ancient runes, where in the distance there is a black cloaked figure with a hood over its head, with one blue glowing eye that is said to be the hybrid Force ghost of Anakin Skywalker. It's described that Rey hears a mixture of both the Jedi and the Sith code, in a faint way from Anakin's voice in the distance. The next goes over Rey walking down a set of stairs, where it's said that Rey and herself, she is following Anakin's hybrid Force ghost to the Sith location within the Lost City. The last goes over Rey entering a part of the Sith runes, just as the Anakin figure begins to vanish before Rey's eyes. So I want to go over a couple of parts about this and as to why this sounds very intriguing indeed by J.J. Abrams, and why it almost sounds as if this is going to be a horror element in a Star Wars movie, kind of similar to what we got in The Force Awakens, where Rey is actually traveling toward the basement of Maz Kanata's castle, and she begins to hear a voice yelling, right, screaming of her younger self. That, to me, it felt like it was straight out of a horror movie, and that's exactly what J.J. Abrams is going to be bringing back in Star Wars Episode 9. So first things first, let's talk about the hybrid Force ghost. Is this a big deal to a lot of Star Wars fans? Is this a good or a bad thing within the Star Wars franchise? You know, Force ghosts, you know, the whole entire idea of it all really originated, of course, in The Empire Strikes Back, which is when we got to really see our very first Force ghost sequence on, of course, the planet Hoth in that movie. So ever since then, you know, a lot of people have been wondering on whether or not they would ever change that idea, and that's exactly what J.J. Abrams aims to do in Star Wars Episode 9, an idea that he had in place originally for Episode 7 that never made it to the final cut of the movie, where we have 3 different phases of Anakin Skywalker's hybrid Force ghost. And in this scenario, it's the mid-phase that's interacting with Rey within the Lost City, basically guiding her from the Jedi and Sith runes in the actual Lost City in order to learn new answers. Now, the thing that really does stand out to me the most is how Rey is actually described to hear the mixture of both the Jedi and Sith code, pretty much coming from the hybrid Force ghost of Anakin Skywalker. Now, like I say, the hybrid Force ghost of Anakin is a mixture of both Darth Vader and Anakin, so I could really see why Rey would be hearing a mixture of both the Jedi and the Sith code, as she is following the hybrid Force ghost of Skywalker. And guys, I gotta say one thing, I know that there's a lot of people out there that really do despise the idea of a hybrid Force ghost, and that's perfectly fine. Everybody has their opinion, which is cool. But I will say that I think that the hybrid Force ghost is rather fascinating and very interesting, and just something that you would expect to see out of, you know, a Star Wars film. As you know, eventually, if you're pretty much, you know, changing Jedi and Sith lore, which J.J. Abrams is doing in this movie, you would expect to see something more around the lines of this, where you have the actual ghost of Anakin Skywalker, where it's connected to the dark side of the Force, but you get to see it in a different way. So I kind of like that idea, but at the same time, I understand people's concerns that, you know, Anakin was redeemed. It doesn't really make sense for his Force ghost to be in conflict. To be honest with you, I don't think that they are the same Force ghosts. I think that these are just different types of Force ghosts that are actually projecting themselves if they are connected to the dark side energy or not. So when we look at Star Wars as a whole, the Lost City really is going to play an important role for the character of Rey, as well as the Dark Spire for Kylo Ren, which is a large castle in Episode 9. You know, do take note that this large castle is going to be a big part of the second act of the movie, where Kylo and his Knights of Ren travel to, and they will also hear the voices of Anakin Skywalker's hybrid Force ghost, as well as Kylo Ren seeing it in person. So the last thing that I do want to go over is of course how eventually it fades away into thin air as it leads Rey down a set of stairs into a part of the Sith runes. So, like I say guys, this sounds very amazing, you know, how it's described that Anakin's eye is actually glowing in a blue fashion, pretty much an homage of the original idea by JJ in The Force Awakens that we never got to see on film and only got to see it in the art book. So anyways guys, let me know what you think about all of this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon we hear